We're here this morning in the Tustin Area Historical Society Museum to interview Johnny Johnson. Johnny is owner, president, and a teacher at Blue Buoy Swim School, and we're anxious to hear his story about his time in early Tustin as well as current Tustin, and he's been a high-profile person in Tustin history. So we're going to start asking Johnny some questions. Johnny, tell us your first experience of coming to Tustin.
Well, first of all, thank you for this opportunity. I just love this community, and it's fun to share some of the experiences I've had here. My very first time in Tustin was March 1948, when, as a firstborn of a United States Marine, Sergeant Major John H. Johnson, well, he was sergeant at the time, stationed at the Marine Corps Station LTA, the helicopter base, and we lived in a little half Quonset hut on the precise location where the Orange County Rescue Mission is right now, right at Valencia and Red Hill. And I remember, I think it was when I was still in high school, they hadn't torn down those buildings yet. And that little Quonset hut was there, and I'd go by and say, that's where I live. But we lived there till 1949, and then Mom and Dad bought a house in South Santa Ana in 1949. I went to, well, I'll give you the whole spiel. Cindy's always kicking me under the table, but went to kindergarten and part of first grade in South Santa Ana at Washington Elementary School, where we lived on South Flower Street, the first home they bought in 1949. But lived there while Dad was deployed in Korea. When he came home, he was granted a, whatever you call it, this little tour at an enlistment center, a recruitment center in Lawrence, Massachusetts, which was just 3 hours from where he grew up in Newington, Connecticut. So that was a very interesting transition from sunny California to the beautiful change of seasons that were magical for a first grader. But in between, we stayed with his parents in Connecticut, so I went to first grade in 3 different states, and then second, third, and fourth, back in an old 3-story brick building, fire escapes. The building was built in 1878, and
You wound up going to Tustin High?
No, we came back to California. Dad spent a year in Okinawa, and some interesting stories there too. My mom was pregnant at the time with their 4th child, my 3rd sister, and she was born while Dad was in Okinawa, and then we got to be reunited with Dad on a national TV show called It Could Be You, where one of my mom's friends arranged to get her on, and it was the Christmas show of 1959, and, no, I'm sorry, 1959, and they brought Dad home 2 weeks early and reunited him on stage with the big hoopla. Then we moved to San Diego. He was at the recruit depot there for 2 years, and I again went to 3 different schools while we were there. And then the Plum assignment, Pearl Harbor, Marine Barracks Pearl Harbor, from 1962 to 1965. So those are my first 3 years of high school. And my claim to fame was that I sat next to Bette Midler in my Russian class when she was a senior and I was a freshman. So that was a pretty cool little fact.
And where was your senior year?
Then Dad was transferred back to El Toro. He was 3rd Air Marine Air Wing Sergeant Major, 65 through 66, when he was then shipped off to 1st Division Sergeant Major duty at in Da Nang. So graduated from Foothill and had the distinction of being in the 1966 first graduating class.
Well, Johnny, I know the Marines moved your family around an awful lot, but when did you finally come back to Tustin to stay?
Well, we came back on a couple occasions. When I was in grade school, Dad was stationed at Okinawa, so we had a connection there. And then after 3 years of living in Hawaii, he came back to El Toro, and that's when we took up a more continuous residency here in Tustin. We lived near Columbus Tustin Middle School, and we were there when he was deployed to Vietnam, and in summer of 1967 he was killed in a Jeep accident. So Mom decided to stay in the county. She moved to Mission Viejo. I helped get her settled and lived there for a couple of years, and where I was actually, after graduating in the first class at Foothill High School, I was also in the first graduating class at Saddleback College. But then I was married to my lovely wife Cindy in June of 1971, and we again came back to Tustin and lived in the Red Hill Manor Apartments, which were directly behind the swim school. So I would walk all of 50 yards to work in the morning. And
What was your first exposure to swimming? Did that start at a very young age?
At the El Toro enlisted pool in 1953 with a bunch of other 5-year-old boys and probably some girls, and the Marine teachers were on the deck with bamboo poles, and they never got in the water with us, but 2 weeks of intensive training.
When you were at Foothill, did you swim there?
I did not. I swam 3 years in Hawaii, and when I came back to Foothill, I ran track. And the swimming influence was all my mom. She just had a good friend that had a son on the swim team at Blue Buoy when we were living here in 1958. So I tried out and made the team, and at the time I was in love with golf. And when we lived in San Diego, I played in tournaments, and Mom kept making me swim, and Mom knew best.
So your first involvement with Blue Buoy was about what year?
Well, my first involvement was winter of 1958
58.
on the swim team, and then had to have a year of college before I could teach. So I washed dishes at the staff NCO club at El Toro for a year, and then started teaching summer of '67, and I've been there ever since.
Been doing it ever since.
This is my 53rd year.
Well, your record in the world of swimming is pretty unbelievable. I've just got a few things here I'll mention. You coached high school water polo and swimming and scuba.
I taught scuba diving for 2 years in the high schools, actually certified over 2,000 students.
Wow.
We'd go into the high schools all around Southern California and take over the PE classes for 4 weeks.
Wow.
It was really quite an experience.
That's impressive. And tell me, how many of your students have competed in the Olympics?
We're proud to say that we've had 9 former students go on to Olympic status.
9 students.
And
That's
another
amazing.
one, Bob Amon's son-in-law's brother, Chad Hundeby, held the world record for the English Channel swim for 11 years. So,
Wow.
and then we've had another dozen or so that went to the Olympic trials. A couple just missed. So we're very proud of that.
So how many medalists?
Oh, I think all but 2 of them medaled.
Well, that's impressive.
Yeah, Jason Lezak's 4-time Olympian, 8 medals. Amy White was our first. Gavin Arroyo's.
I remember the day we had a kind of a celebration here right
Yes.
in the museum and had some of your former students
Yes,
come
Jason
in.
came in.
Yeah.
And he's a great man.
I think that was the beginning of our interest in the museum, of having a display that we now have of people that have gone on to from Tustin high schools to either play professionally or to compete in the Olympics.
There's a rich legacy from this community.
Understand you're the charter member and past president of the U.S. Swim School Association.
It's really been an honor to be part of that organization. It was founded by a gentleman that actually came to visit Blue Buoy on a Southern California tour. He was interested in learning about swim schools, and he was so taken by Mel Maxwell, the founder, with how much he was willing to share, which has become part of our legacy. But when Mel passed away in 1983, Steve Graves, the founder of the Swim School Association, was so moved and concerned that this pioneer had passed away, and the only ones that could carry on his knowledge and experience were the ones at Blue Buoy. And so he founded the U.S. Swim School Association in 1988. Now there's over 400 member schools,
Wow.
but Blue Buoy had
400.
a small part in
Yeah. Well, that's great.
the creation of that.
Tell us about something called a toddler course that you're the co-author of.
Oh, well, during that time on the board of directors and as president, we were trying to create a teaching course that could not be necessarily a certification course, but to give all the methodologies that are out there, more of a survey course, to help young teachers get a better handle on how to work with infants and toddlers, which is quite a bit different than taking a 5-year-old and throw them in the pool with the Marine Corps and teach them to swim. But that course has been taken now by thousands of teachers all around the world.
Oh, wow.
So it's really proud of that.
And I understand you're past president of the National Drowning Prevention Alliance. That's impressive.
That's another wonderful opportunity that we were presented with. Because of our involvement with Learn to Swim, there was a task force, the Orange County Drowning Prevention Network, that evolved into a national one, and I was asked to be part of as a founding board member, and then served some time as a president. And it was so different than just teaching swimming, because it brought in all the different facets of drowning prevention, the medical profession, the responders, the lifeguards, the pool safety products, and it gave us an opportunity to meet legislators from Washington and try to get legislation passed and instilled. And from that, we were able to create the drowning prevention curriculum that the foundation that Cindy and I started through the U.S. Swim School Association. We're all connected, but that course is now gaining national and worldwide recognition.
Well, the Aquatics International magazine selected you as one of the 25 most influential people over the last 25 years in aquatics. That's pretty impressive.
Well, that was quite an honor. You know, it's very impressive, not to
Top 25.
to take it down. Well, my picture's right next to Michael Phelps and Janet Evans and some other from the swim world.
Yeah,
but again,
great.
This is recognizing people from every facet. And I think that was during the time I was president of the NDPA, the National Drowning Prevention Alliance, and so there was some creds coming in with that, but it was quite an honor.
You've received so much national recognition and local with your swimming deal, but I'm going to change subjects a little bit. What was it like to be the first Mr. Tustin?
That was quite a rush.
It was the first time, right?
That's correct.
Yeah. And this is a fundraiser for Miss Tustin.
That is correct.
So
all the support.
You were one of, what, 6 people?
6 contestants.
And you had to show a talent, but you couldn't have a swimming pool there. So what did you do for a talent?
Well, I took advantage of my grandson's talent. He's a member of the Tustin High School, or past member of the all-male team, the hip hop. So we did a talent. It was more of a comedy skit to show the bridging of the generation gap of dance and music. So we did a little back and forth with my recollections of dance and music, doing a little twist and some Elvis, and he was doing some Michael Jackson and some things. And we finished with Lee Greenwood's Proud to Be an American, and talking about how there's some music that makes us want to move, but other music that moves us. And it brought the house down.
Yeah, I was there. It did.
Yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. I mean, we set the bar. We thought we were going to have it pretty low, but it was beyond expectation. Jen Kohlenberger was so ecstatic over the response from the audience. And all the contestants were amazing.
Great fundraiser, because they just filled the place. It was like standing room only. And it's going to get bigger and better every year, I think.
Yep. Well,
And
we're looking forward to the
coming
next one.
up next month at the brand new Elks Lodge.
That's
It's
correct,
gonna hold
October
a lot-
11th, Friday
hold a lot
night.
of people. So I'm anxious. I think this is going to get to be a bigger and bigger event each year.
Well, they've raised so much money for the scholarships
Yeah.
for Miss Tustin.
And as I understand it, you're supposed to pick a successor for the next year. Is that how it works?
Each of the contestants is charged with trying to find someone to step up. So we've got
Who did you pick for year number 2?
Bill McInerney asked if he would do it, and he was great.
That's great.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Also, you recently were the mayor's pick for the best place to work, or Blue Buoy was picked for the best place to work.
Well, we've always taken pride in, treating everyone associated with Blue Buoy as family, and we are probably not looked upon as the way to run a business because we take such good care of our staff. But we're very proud of the longevity. We've got teachers that have been with us 20, 30 years.
Wow.
And of course, my 53rd year. Our son Eric is almost in his 30s. He started teaching in 1991, and his son and daughter are both involved in the business as well. And our other sons, daughters, and Eric's wife. So it's a family affair by blood, but also by association.
Well, you impressed the mayor.
Well,
he
it
picked
was
you as the
quite
best
an
place to
honor.
work.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. And I happen to know that you've just joined Sons of the American Legion because of your father's Marine experience.
And my mother's.
That's great.
Yep. So I wasn't aware that there was a Sons of the American Legion because I didn't serve. When Dad was killed, I was given an exemption from the draft as a sole surviving son. I was the last male Johnson. So that started my career as I'd grown up with the Marine Corps.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually tried to get in the Naval Academy. Was a little short of making it, but it was so inherent in our upbringing. And to this day, I have just intense pride in not only all the armed forces, but particularly the Marine Corps. My mom was private during World War II. She was a clerk typist. And
In the
I
Army.
was Marine Corps.
Marine
no,
Corps.
no Army. I'm sorry.
Okay. In the Marine Corps.
No.
Okay.
She was. I brought in a copy of Look magazine from June 13th, 1944.
I saw that.
Yep,
Yes.
I brought it to
Yeah.
the breakfast
Yes.
where they featured the women Marines, and she was very
Forgot
proud of
yeah,
that time.
Woman Marine. That's great. Well,
Her
you
brother
saw-
was in the Navy though, during World War II also.
Well, you mentioned the Naval Academy. That's the way to become a Marine officer is
That's
through
true.
the
Yep.
through the Naval Academy. So, well, Johnny, it sounds like it's a great opportunity to commemorate your dad's service because they're putting the Veterans Memorial right where you say you were born, and you can buy a paper with his name on it.
We'll certainly do that.
That'd be. Well, this has been very interesting and exciting to talk to you, and your national exposure through swimming is just unbelievable. You've gotten so many awards.
Well, it's
Kind of put Tustin.
nice to be recognized, but there's a lot of really incredible people that are changing lives in the water, and it's always nice to be recognized. We'll be going to Singapore in January next year as part of the International Swim School Association that's newly founded, and Cindy and I are actually ambassadors for that organization
great.
for the United States.
So you'll be going to Singapore.
Yep,
Oh,
spend a week there in January. So.
in January.
And our son actually leaves in a couple weeks with the dance program that he joined. So a lot of exciting things coming up.
Good. Well, I have not asked you any other charities that you're involved in. I know a little bit about your involvement in the American Legion now, and Mr. Tustin, but do you do other things with other charities that I've missed?
As far as financial support, we have sponsored we're sponsors of the Chamber of Commerce, TACFA, Tustin Community Foundation. We've reached a point with the Blue Buoy being fairly successful, and it's an opportunity to give back to the community, and it's just reaped so many benefits of friendships. And
Every time I go anywhere and open up a booklet for a charitable event, Blue Buoy is in there, so
Well-
you're making an impression on the whole city.
the school itself, we are such a nexus, a hub of connections from every facet of the community. So it's hard to pick and choose, but we've probably given, I don't know, thousands of gift certificates over the last several decades to fundraisers for all the different schools and organizations. So we have a
so
great
many
connection.
so many of the adults here in Tustin learned how to swim at your place.
It's pretty amazing. There's a lot of, definitely hundreds of second
Yeah.
generations and more third generations.
That's great. Well, this has been very interesting. We thank you very much for your time, and we've enjoyed it.
Thank you, Ivan. It's
You
been a
bet.
pleasure. Been a pleasure.
Thank you, Johnny.
this morning in the Tustin Area Historical Society Museum to interview Johnny Johnson, who's owner, president, and teacher at Blue Buoy Swim School.
Thanks, Brett.
Can you believe that?
Take two.
That's all right. We will start over.
I can't believe we've been here for several minutes and nothing.
I thought I'd say something to him, but then he didn't want to stand around and talk, so.
Yeah.
What kind of a machine was that?
And I
A
gotta
blower?
see about getting some shirts from him too, so
Yeah.
I'll give him a bad time.
The timing of that was just unbelievable. Okay.
That'll be an
Once more.
outtake. That'll be an outtake at the end.
There you go.
I'll just keep all the outtakes from all the different ones and make a video of it someday.
And that began our cross-country travels.
Can't believe it.
I'll edit him out. You know, I'm not gonna stop him. He's cleaning up.
Oh no, he's doing a great job.
I just realized, it's getting fainter, but I can tell that he might turn around and come right back in front.
It's almost like he knows we're in here, but he knows he doesn't know what we're doing.
No.
It's almost like it's a new toy.
That's
Yeah. He's like, oh no, I missed a spot.
that sidewalk has to be the cleanest